midnight, and I'm waiting on the 12:05, hoping it'll take me just a little farther down the line. And moonlight, you're just a heartache in disguise, so won't you keep my heart from breaking if it's only for a very short time.
That was fun.
Yay!
Let me tell you, country is my favorite genre.
Oh, wow.
I grew up on country music back in Jamaica. And even when I was in BC, whenever I'm going to work or coming from work, it's always JR Country.
Oh,
JR
that's great.
Country was on, like, going. So I love country music.
Growing up on a farm in the country, right? You know, it came naturally to me too. So we're kindred spirits that way. Yeah.
So I'm talking to Amanda, and Amanda is a country music singer, songwriter from a small town, Lancer.
Yes.
It is
yes,
in
you got
Saskatchewan.
it right.
And she is joining me on Journeys in Melody to talk about music and life. And I'm happy to have her to chat with me to talk about country music. Tell us a bit about you.
Well, I grew up, as you said, on a small grain cattle farm just outside of Lancer. I don't know if there's 100 people living there anymore. It's one of those towns, if you blink on the map and you look, you'll miss it. It's one of those little small, beautiful little communities in southwest Saskatchewan. And so I grew up, you know, just as a country bumpkin, a farm girl. I absolutely loved animals. I was outside all the time. I'm actually the youngest of 9 siblings. So, yeah, I don't know if mom and dad really wanted a 9th, but it happened. So, you know, that's a lot of kids. But it was great growing up in the country. You know, I miss it so much now that I live in a big city. So, yeah. So, you know, music was a big part of our family. My family's very musical. And so I was always surrounded by music, and my older siblings played in bands and things like that. So music just, you know, it was just a part of my life right from a very, very young age. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how did the career start?
Well, the career was it kind of morphed into I started just performing as a young person does. You know, you enter all the contests and you sing in the local church choir and in the community festivals that happen every year. So I honed my skills just doing that and playing every day and writing songs and all of that. But really, I got really serious about music after I started playing in a couple cover bands that I had co-founded with a friend of mine. And that gave me a lot of performance opportunities and just confidence. So it was back in about 2011 that I decided I was going to start to record my very first album. And, I started writing songs that I thought were okay. And I think they turned out all right, as the record has proven. So 2014 was the very first full 10-song album that I put out. And, it's been an awesome decade, hard to believe, since then.
Yeah.
So, a great journey so far.
That's amazing. Tell me about the song we just played, Queen of Hearts. Where did that song come from?
Well, I love, the old country. I believe Juice Newton is her name. I love that, that I always loved her name. And she was a little bit before my time, but my older siblings all had records and, cassettes and 8-tracks and all that kind of stuff in the house. So I got to listen to all kinds of cool music. And I fell in love with Juice Newton when I was a kid. And I decided to record a collection of covers, a 10-song album. Yeah. And that song just felt like the right one to do a cover of. And it was actually quite interesting the way we came up with the arrangement for that song, because if you know Shania Twain's song, Any Man of Mine, and you listen to this version, which we just did, you can see the similarity in how the verses slow down and the choruses speed up. And that was the inspiration for the arrangement, and how to kind of revive this amazing song and make it new again. And people just seem to love it. So,
What do you enjoy most, doing a cover or writing and doing an original song?
Gosh, that's a toss-up. I mean, I think I'd have to lean towards the originals because, that's where I get to express, my soul and my heart. But the covers are nice to kind of blend into live shows because people have that familiarity and they really enjoy hearing those songs, especially when they're done in a different style. And I like to coin it Amandified. I Amandify my cover song that I record. So.
Of course. Country music is fun. It's fun to listen to. And sometimes you get lost in it, even whichever way they twist it. As a Christian myself, right? I would listen to a song and it's talking about drinking and this and that. But it's so much fun that sometimes it just goes past me and you listen to it until you're like, hold on, what are you singing about? And it's when you release music and people listen to it, what's the kind of feedback you get?
It depends on the song, I guess, to some degree. But, I'm always looking for the most honest, a feedback from a fan or a viewer or a listener of the song, I should say. For me, some of the best responses are the ones that kind of, catch people off guard. Even they don't know how they're going to respond until the song is first delivered to them. I think some of probably the most memorable ones are the ones where I get private messages and people have really connected to the song on a level that even they didn't expect. And when it has that profound impact on someone, whether that be just because it made them think about somebody in their life that they had lost, or that maybe it had deepened their faith, or that it just put a smile on their face. There's so many different variations, but I've gotten a few messages over the years that just have touched my heart, and it just makes all the hard work so worth it, when you get to hear that from people. And I don't get to hear it as often as I'd like. As an artist, it's always nice to get that feedback, but it's very special when it happens.
I looked at some of the comments on some of your videos on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, and I'm going to share a couple.
Sure.
This is from a song that I'm going to play, Be the Light. Someone said, what a great song, Amanda. It's very inspirational. Well done. I could listen to it all day. And then another comment was from, I guess, some media folks in Hawaii. They were like, aloha, we will air this video on Hot Rock TV Hawaii and the Galaxy Global Television Network. Nice work. Right? Someone said, you're the real deal, genuine to the core. Love the song. So when you put music out, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to love it. You don't know who's going to pick it up. So when you see feedback like this, what's the feeling?
Oh, it's just validation, I think. And it's that virtual pat on the back that says, hey, your music is connected to me now. And, we have an indirect relationship now through that medium of music. That's really special, because often, as I'm sure you can attest to, we get to see people a lot online. Indirectly. And so that kind of just makes the relationship just a little bit closer. I love when people make comments and they take the time to do that. And I really appreciate it. And so it makes me feel so good to know that someone's taken that, few seconds out of their day to be able to give that comment and do it from a place, I think, of honesty and really genuine, upliftment. For me, it's great. So I love it. Yeah.
And people have your songs on repeat.
Oh, well, that's cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been like over a decade since you started.
Yeah.
And when you started, we didn't have Instagram and YouTube wasn't as popularly used or known. So what that transition from when tech was so slow and to now when everybody is fixed on a phone or social media, how has that changed how your career looks?
Immensely. I'm trying to think back to when I released my first album. I think Facebook and, those platforms were up, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I had content on there, but, now it's so sophisticated, the way we interact, the way we create content. So it was a shot in the dark back then. And, if I had known what I know now back then, I think I probably would have done a little bit better job of marketing that first record. But I'm so grateful for the technology now. It's come a long way. And I think, as an artist, I've grown too through that. And it's been great. And so, I look forward to seeing what the future holds because, wow, it feels like things are changing in real time these days, as far as what we have to offer folks online with media. So it's an exciting time to be an artist and just to be out there creating content for people.
That's so true. And the beautiful thing I find about country music is that the genre doesn't really change. You find other genres adding this and adding that, but country is country. Yeah. And you just have to tell your stories on there and people will love it, right? How do you find your experiences impacting your music and how you tell the stories?
That's really a cornerstone or a foundation for me, for sure. I mean, I think, music and writing for me has always been that muse to be able to kind of express, the deepest parts of myself. And doing that through experience is perfect. It's a perfect segue because the emotion is there. I've experienced it. And so when I relay that in a story form to an audience member or a fan of the music, it's cool because, I feel that there's a heart connection there and that essence of what I've experienced comes through in the song. So a lot of the music I do write does come from that place, or at least an indirect place where I've witnessed someone go through it or something specific. But a lot of it, I think, and country music is one of those genres that people live. They live the music. Yeah. It really hasn't changed. I think at its foundation, at its root, that is the essence of country music, is that it's a living, breathing thing that really people feel when they hear it. Yeah,
I agree with you. And when I listen to country music, it's always a story about what's happening down the road or in a relationship or, at the pub or, on the farm. It's always a story. In terms of your story and you pursuing this career, how has your support system been in terms of family life? Because we often don't see that part. We see you singing and posting, but the background of it, how is your support system? What's that like?
Definitely a foundational marker for me in terms of just having the stamina and the strength to be able to continue to move forward. It's, as an artist, people who are in the creative realm will be able to appreciate this, but it's difficult to be able to put yourself out and bare your soul every single release. It's not just the first one or, a monumental one that maybe catches on in the world and maybe takes off. It's every single piece of art that you put out. So for me to have that foundation of family is important. And, I talk to my siblings periodically about the music. I'm always sharing what's happening, what's coming up. And I feel like they're on the journey with me. I was one of the only in the family that kind of took it to more of a professional level. Yeah. And so they're constantly, excited and get ready for the next song and get ready for the next video and the next show. And so I'm very fortunate. And I also have a husband who's the guy is just a champion. He talks me up, brings me up when I'm down, and he, keeps me grounded when I'm not. And so to have that person in your life that he's a constant. And I think as an artist, you need that. Yeah. And I'm very blessed and very grateful to have a lot of really good people in my corner, and also the people that I work with, the producers, the videographers. I've got an amazing team here in Saskatoon, so I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Saskatchewan is one of those provinces that you hear the name, but you don't really know what's happening there. Right?
What?
No, you don't, and it's a lot of prairie land and country living and stuff like that. That, of course, has impacted your music. What's the difference between the impact from Saskatchewan versus a big city?
Well, we have, I think, like Saskatoon, or Regina, that we have two major cities. Yeah. If I'm going to put it into numbers, it's maybe like 300,000 or just over that. And compared to some cities that have millions, we're still quite small. Yeah. But most of our towns are just small. A few thousand to a few hundred. And so the rural essence of living in the country versus living in the city. Immediately, and I'll give you an example. When you drive, even an hour to 2 hours out of Saskatoon, which is where I live now, all of a sudden you drive down the road, you pass somebody in a vehicle, and they wave at you, and you kind of, I forget sometimes. Oh, okay, I'm in that space now. Okay, I'm waving. It's there's a sense of community and just camaraderie that's indirect and just is shared, no matter who you are or where you're from. You're drawn into that. And I think that's the beautiful part about the major difference I notice is that connection and that acceptance. It's really neat if you haven't experienced that, living in a small town or just going and visiting. It's really special.
Beautiful. The challenges are there, and I'm sure you have faced a few of them throughout the career. What would you say are the most challenging times in your country music career?
Ooh, what would be the most challenging? I've had to learn discernment, actually. That comes to mind first. Discerning just, the people that you meet and the people that you consider working with and navigating through the industry side of music. You have to kind of be very sharp in terms of what people's intentions are. For the most part, I've been very lucky. I've met a lot of really great, genuine, authentic people that they're in it for the right reasons. But there is that aspect of business that you do need to watch for. So, I've had unfortunate, opportunity to learn the hard way, where I've been taken advantage of just a little bit here and there. But I've learned from it. I've grown from it. And I think I'm better for it now. So there's reasons for everything. But it can be really challenging, especially as a young artist. You kind of get swept up in the idea of becoming more, and becoming more well-known. And that can kind of lead you down some paths that maybe aren't the best for you. So, I was fortunate to learn that early, and it's serving me well now. So,
yeah. You have a career, and you've been through the challenges, and you've seen the different things which are negative and positive. Have you ever thought of stopping or changing the genre that you're in?
That's a good question, because I just recently did that to some degree. I coined myself an inspirational country artist. So, yes. My faith and the inspirational side of what I portray in my music has always come through. And I wanted to make sure people understood that was a big part of who I am as an artist and a person. So from that perspective, I decided with this brand new song that I've got coming out, that's just, brand new, that I would cross over into the gospel Christian faith-based side of the industry a little bit more formally. I know country music's very, very accepting of that style, and I think that's always been a part of country music. But it just felt like this song needed to have a slightly different audience. So I'm really excited to meet some new people and work with some new people with this brand new song.
Well, you preemptively brought up the song. Since you brought up the song, it's Call on Me, right?
Yeah.
Call on Me is a new release that's coming out tomorrow, actually.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah. It's tomorrow that's coming out. So since you mentioned it, a little birdie kind of gave me a sample of the song.
Oh, perfect.
And I would need your permission. Can I share a little bit of it?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to share a little snippet of that song that you just mentioned. So this is Call on Me. That goes into the more inspirational side of things. Just a little bit of it for you.
Sure.
Here you go.
When the road, it seems so long, there's not much left to carry on. And through the tears, it starts to show.
That's all I'm going to play.
Okay.
And that's Call on Me, and it starts with expressing those emotions, those feelings, and it takes you through. Talk a little bit about what inspired that song.
Wow. I've been preparing myself to explain the inspiration behind the song. There's so many layers to how it came to be. So I'll try to condense that and just give you the short version. So last summer, this is a great intro to kind of understanding the writer's process. Often for me, I'm not really one that can just sit down and just write. There has to be some movement, some wave of inspiration that comes from, I believe it comes from that higher aspect, right? The divine aspect of myself and the higher essence of what we call God. So for me, last summer, I began to pray and meditate about what my next musical assignment should be. I just come off a really big song release in 2023 called These Roots, which really took a big wave through the United States, and we did so well with it. And so I was feeling a little bit, well, now what? That was a big deal. And now what do I do? It's a lot of pressure. And I just thought to myself, I've got to surrender to my soul's purpose. And so I started really connecting, to God that way, and just started to pray. And I asked for some inspiration. And it was literally a moment that I will never forget. I felt as though there was a physicality to the experience. And the song actually just came randomly a couple days after I began to ask for guidance.
Yeah.
The journey to write it was less than 24 hours. And it had bridged a poem that I had written a couple years before that I had melded into the song. And it just felt right. It was kind of like the two had been written separately. I wrote the chorus and the melody in an instant that day when the inspiration came, and the verses. It just struck me that this poem that I had written called The Glow was what was needed for the verses. And that's how it came together. And that was one of the most profound and beautiful writing experiences. I don't know if I'll ever top it again, because it was physically tangible, and it brought me to tears, literally, in those moments I was writing it. And I just knew that, this was a message the world was going to need to hear. I didn't have any control over when, and here we are now, X amount of months later. It's just about a year later, and here it is. And, I coin it God's message to the world, because I feel like there's so much profound knowledge and wisdom in it. Even I'm learning from it when I listen to it, which sounds crazy to say, but there's something really magical about this particular song.
And that's powerful. It's a powerful story and testimony, because I get it. I've been there. My wife and I write. We do kids' books, and I've written a couple of books. And let me tell you, I always say, when God gives you inspiration, run with it. Yeah. Sometimes you're sitting and some words come to your mind, and it's just flowing, and it's the right time. And you did that. And here we have a beautiful song that's going to be released tomorrow on so many platforms. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Another beautiful song.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this one I think is it's going to be one of those I don't know if you call it a marker in the career or whatever you want to call it, a milestone. I feel like I'm maturing as an artist to be able to stand in my authenticity and to really just own who I am and express that in the world, but also be a muse for something greater and to be of service for something a lot.
And I think that's where great work comes from.
Yeah.
When it comes from deep within and it comes out and you share that, that's where great work comes from. In terms of your work, you cover a few artists, and you do it excellently. Is there anyone, dead or alive, who you would want to collaborate with to do a song?
Oh, that's a big question. Well, I covered two songs on my collection of covers album that are very special to me for various reasons. So two artists that are in the female, country category. One is Martina McBride. If you know Martina's work, I grew up listening to her music. She was one of those superstar female country artists of the 90s that I just aspired to be like. And, in terms of just her beauty of her music, her voice is just amazing. And she always seemed to choose songs that were a little bit more outside the scope of what was expected. She had a lot of powerful messages in her songs. And one of the songs I chose to record was called Anyway. And it talks about basically bearing your soul and doing things just because it feels like it's the right thing to do. If you've ever heard the song, it's incredibly beautiful. She co-wrote it with another writer. And that was very special. So if I had to pick, one of two people, there's another gal, Dolly Parton would be the other one. Dolly, of course. I covered her song Coat of Many Colors on my album, and my sisters actually were able to come and record it with me. So we sang it together, which was really special. And so those two, I mean, if I could do anything with either one of those girls, I would just be over the moon. That would be a dream.
All right, there you go. And maybe that dream will come true one day soon.
Amen.
We talk about music and you're recording and publishing music. Is there any form of pressure internally or from external forces, expectations? And when those pressures come, what do you do?
That's a really good question. It's a difficult one because it happens often. I've talked about that. I've done different shows, where I've chosen to just, go a little deeper into the stories behind the songs and just the journey. And I have mentioned a few times, that there has been pressure, especially as a female artist in country in the last, number of years. I think that's starting to change a little bit now. But there's a pressure to have a certain persona and to have a certain image. And especially, just with the ladies, there's a certain style of content, I think at one time that was really more popular. And so there was always an indirect pressure that if you wanted to get some traction with your songs on radio or whatever, you were going to have to kind of conform and kind of fit into this certain mold of style. And I just never bought into that. I actually wrote a song called Her Own Drum that talks about basically that the universe has given us all a melody that only we can hear. And our job is to find it and, listen for it and then just follow that. And it's basically about being your authentic self is what the song's about. That is our song of our soul that we get to hear. And so for me, I think, at the end of the day, I didn't conform, but I did have moments where it was difficult not to consider it. But now I'm just at a point where it's like, this is something so much greater going on the planet right now that we all need to answer our callings and our purpose. And we need to, start doing this great work in the world and help each other because I think, we're all one big family. So, let's unite.
We've heard those stories of people going into music, the music industry as a whole, but they go into different genres and they try different things, but they don't get any headway until they have to start changing who they are to kind of get that success that they want. Have you found yourself at any point at that stage where you're thinking, okay, and you just mentioned conforming, where I need to just not do what I'm loving, but do it because the industry demands it?
For sure. There's been more than one moment where I've considered, that maybe I should be going in a slightly different direction or trying out different music, writing music that's more commercial versus, from the heart.
Yeah.
But there's something inside of me that always just would nudge me and say, no, don't do that. It just never felt right. And I think, it comes back to, what's your definition of success, really? My definition of success is that if this was the last song that I ever, was given the opportunity to write, would I be okay with that? Have I done everything as an artist that I aspire to do in this life? And I mean, every step along the way, I could lay my head down at night and close my eyes and say, yeah, I've done it. And that's success to me, right?
Yeah.
And I just pray that there'll be more because I love the experience of each creation. But really, at the end of the day, once you kind of are okay with being who you are in this world and being that light, which that's why "Be the Light" is such an important anthem for me in the music that I've created. It's just, you don't really feel that pressure anymore, and it's okay. It's okay because success is just, it's just ongoing. You never really get anywhere. You're just continuing to evolve and to grow and to have this beautiful adventure. Being an artist.
And I find that being authentic as an artist is very important.
Oh.
And you just spoke of "Be the Light." And I'm going to play that song right now. And then when we come back, we're going to talk some more about that song.
Okay.
So here is "Be the Light."
The two greatest moments of your life, the day you were born and the day that you discovered why. A script that's been hidden, written in the stars, love's grandest vision to reveal just who you are. Ride on the waves of your passion. Follow your heart and you will find it. Turn to love, you can't deny it. 'Cause there's a fire waiting inside you to ignite. Whoa, be the light. As the actor, life as the stage, is authentic role is the one that only you can play. Unleash your power and imagine. Follow your heart and you will find it. Turn to love, you can't deny it. 'Cause there's a fire waiting inside you to ignite. Oh, be the light.
And that was Be the Light.
Yeah.
That song, where did the inspiration for that one come from?
That song is wow. I just even love listening to that song. I haven't listened to it for a while, so that was fun. So the inspiration for that one kind of came through a series of different, different steps along my spiritual journey. Actually, the course, where most of the title of the song came just on a really strange, moment where I just felt like I needed to write a song that had that title in it. And at that time, I think I was going through my own spiritual awakening in a sense that I was becoming, there was a discovery happening. I was becoming a little bit more bold and going inward. I always feel like I like to say, life's an inside job, not an outside job. So, and that's very personal. So for me, the idea of coming to a point where you can be your most authentic, highest expression of yourself is, I think, the goal in being a human, and more so just being, a soul kind of emanating through this human vessel, which I like to kind of think of it that way, as I've gone through this journey. So Be the Light was all about that. And I think if more people could just be brave enough to go through that experience, or at least begin the process, sometimes we're thrust into it under different circumstance and forced circumstance. But really, in the end, if we can just be brave and courageous enough to follow that light and just be guided through that process, we come out literally in this beautiful expression on the planet. And authenticity is the core of all that. And so It's really exciting. So the song just, it was a beautiful way for me to kind of introduce a brand new collection of songs that I had written. That was my latest album. So that was the title track. And it's an anthem. And I just feel like every time I get to perform it, it's just such a treat. And people just really enjoy the song. It's really, I feel like, it's an anthem for all of us, at different stages of our life. So
absolutely. And you put it beautifully, but with that song and that mindset, you mentioned, the personal touch, the personal connection. How do you stay grounded in building this career and writing music and staying authentic?
It's difficult at times, yes, for sure. But, I go back to that idea of being grounded in purpose and just understanding that I have a responsibility, and sometimes I think I put a little bit of pressure on myself. Too much pressure as an artist, to be a little bit too perfect with things, or maybe a little bit too, articulate in the way things have to be and the way things have to be put together. I'm learning to let go of that control a little bit, just to allow it just to be what it is. But that's part of being an artist, I think, and having this beautiful canvas we get to paint on. So, for me, it's, the idea of kind of coming to this place now with my artistry where I can just let go, I think. And that's the artist journey, I feel, when we get to that point where we can just let go and just allow that expression to come full circle. I don't feel like I'm in that place anymore, but I was early on, and it was difficult. It was difficult to not conform and to not succumb to that temptation. Fame and fortune kind of temptation, right? Being an artist is so much more than that. We're given these gifts for a reason. And that's the part of the responsibility I feel, I think, is that I need to use them in the right way and to have an impact in the world that only I can do, right? That this unique expression, and we each have that. And if we can just find that and hone that and just cultivate that and just be brave enough to express it out there, there are going to be people that connect to it. And those are the people we're meant to serve. And that's beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship. And I love it. I love the assignment I've been given here, right now.
Yeah. And getting to this point and having that mindset, how has that helped with your growth as a person, not just your career, but as a person?
It exponentially, it's accelerated, I think, the growth in the person that I'm becoming. And I don't really feel that ever ends. I think the expression, especially this highest level of expression I believe the light that we're meant to emanate on this planet, I don't think that ever really, I think it just keeps getting brighter and brighter. And I think a little bit of maturity experience, that'll help. Young artists typically have to stumble, and we have to go through the ups and the downs. and we have to go through the rejections, and we have to go through all those things in order to be able to come to a place where we feel like we've been there, done that, and now it's just about the art. And you know, I think I finally figured it out, that, you know, I put the art first, and the career, the notoriety, the accolades, that's all secondary. To me, that's just a little bit of cherry on the top of the beautiful cake, if that ever does happen. And it has, and I've been fortunate, but it's not the driving force. The art is the driving force, right? We're here for such a finite amount of time. And so in order to be able to maximize that, I think that the creation is the key. And so for me, that's really a part of the growth, is now that I'm in that mindset. I mean, each creation is just such a beautiful experience. And I even our conversation today, I look forward to every moment of the experience of the unfolding of it all. And it's exciting. And if we could just live life like that every day, man, every moment is magical. Even the most mundane things can become really exciting and really fun. So that's how I look at life now. So the growth it's been great. And I can't wait to see what happens, you know, as we move forward with this release.
Good. And that leads me to ask then, what are you looking forward to? What's that achievement, that career goal that you're looking forward to?
Well, if I could collaborate with Martina McBride, I think that might be one of the caps, as we talked about earlier, perhaps. You know, I think just continuing to be able to, it's a good question. I've never really thought about it. You know, some people might have a certain award in mind, or a certain level of career in mind. I think for me, if I can just continue to expand, and my art can continue to reach new people, and I can feel and see that in a tangible way, I think that's going to be just the feather in the cap for me as I move forward. I don't really have any specific awards or things that I think I would like to accomplish or achieve. I don't really know that those really connect to me the way that they might other artists. It's more about the connection with people, right? It's about the fan and the audience. Those are the people that I want to connect with. So if I could just expand out and continue to meet new people and have those relationships grow, I think that's going to be the success that, you know, and who knows where that number will end up. But I mean, I want the real authentic relationships, not just the numbers on the screen. So, you know, we'll see where that takes me, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
And that's a fantastic way to bring down the curtains on this. But I have so many more questions to ask you. Let me see. Okay. So you're doing the music. There's the journey and all different things. Have you ever felt like giving up? And if so, when that feeling comes, what do you do to keep going?
Yes, that happens. And it happened many times. I won't sugarcoat that. When it happens, you know, usually the first thing I do is I retreat back internally, and I begin my ritual of prayer and meditation. For me, it's a combination of just getting really still and really quiet. And going back to reminding myself of what the true purpose of the artistry is, and understanding that as an artist, you know, there are going to be the hard moments. There are going to be the ups and downs, and that's okay, because that's a part of the experience. So I almost have to give myself a little bit of an internal pep talk, but usually I get guidance. You know, I'll get answers internally and externally that kind of validate, no, you're on the right path. You're going to be okay. And then if I don't quite get there, then usually I've got my husband or one of my close friends that, you know, hey, get your chin up. This is going to be okay. Right. Yeah. You know, it's okay to have a bad day once in a while, but, you know, it is difficult. And especially when not only you're bearing your heart and your soul, but, you know, I put a lot, and most artists will put a lot of financial, abundance into the music we create, because I'm not just going to work with anybody, and I'm not just going to put out any kind of product. You know, the things that I aspire to put out they're the best that I can put them out, the highest quality that I can put them out. So that takes its toll on you for sure. But if I had to do it over and over again, of course, I'd say yes. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say then to a young person? They're having a thought, they have a nice voice, they think they can do it, and they're thinking about it, but they're scared to death of venturing out and starting a career in country music. What do you tell that person?
That's a good question. I'd probably have to envision, what would I tell myself when I was, 18 years old or whatever, just out of high school? My parents actually had really good advice for me. And so this might actually help a young artist. I wanted to go and just, get in a car and just start going and singing. Right? That's all I wanted to do. And I actually thought about enrolling in DJ school at the time. Radio was kind of a big deal, and there were some programs in our local area that would, I could have went and become a radio DJ. Well, my parents decided that, I needed to make sure that I established a secondary career, that I had a foundation in order to be able to have a place that I could come and be grounded in, and then allow the art to develop from there. And that was an awesome piece of advice, because honestly, it gave me the opportunity to have a beautiful home and just a foundation that I always can go back to. Now, some might argue, well, you're kind of splitting your time and you're splitting your energy. And the art has to be sometimes a little secondary to, a career, or a secondary way of garnering income and just having that platform. But I just found it's helped my artistry, because it's helped me to be the best version of myself when I'm rested and when I'm, living a beautiful, fulfilled life, right? Yeah. With a family and all of those things. So that would be my advice, is consider building a really strong foundation that your art can sit on, and then it can expand from. And then it becomes a long-term career. It doesn't become you go so hard for so many years and you just burn out, right? And then what do you have at the end of that, right? You might not have that foundation to step back on, because it is a tough industry. Let's just be real. It's hard to make a full-time living as a music artist, but you can do it in many ways, and it's your way. It's your unique way, and I think you can still have amazing experience and career in it. I'm living proof of that so far.
That is fantastic advice, laying that solid foundation. Yeah. So you have a place to stand on and fall on, and that support system is also important.
Yes.
And that was amazing advice. And I just want to thank you again. It's been fantastic, and I have more things to ask you, but maybe they can. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you for having me on your show. And again, I love the name. I love what you're doing. I think it's amazing, and I look forward to to the journey and music, and maybe I can come back on some other time. I love it.
I mean, let's do it. It's been fantastic, and thank you for taking the time for sharing your journey and your story and your music. Where can people find Colin Me and your music?
So the best place to go, all the social media sites, of course, that are popular, but I have a website that's really easily to navigate, and you can find all the links to everything there. So it's just www.amandahagel.com. And you can go there and you can connect to all the major social sites that I'm on. All the announcements will be there. All the links are going to be there for everything. My YouTube channel is great too, because I do like to create visual art. And so a lot of my big songs, I think I've got 40 some videos on there. And a lot of professional, amazing music videos. So you can learn more about me there for sure. But
We're coming up.
In the fall, actually, I like to kind of every couple of years do one that's a little bit bigger and a little bit more formal. So I'm gonna run one this year in central and southern Saskatchewan, I believe, is where it'll start. So so you can look for those announcements too if you're in the area, or if you just there are lots of clips and lots of ways to kind of connect through that indirectly as well. But live performing is so much fun. It's one of the joys as an artist that I love, beyond the creation. So it's exciting. Yeah.
Exciting stuff. And thank you again for taking the time to join me on Journeys in Melody. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's your heart that guides your life. Off your knees, it's time to rise. Call on me, child of mine. Your message near, in whispers came. I felt your plea held in